What is up, Mizzou fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com, covering your Missouri Tigers. He's Braden Dowers, and the season finally starts tomorrow. We're going to preview it all right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, Missouri Tigers fans, the day has finally come. The Missouri Tigers play a football game, probably the day that you're watching this, recording this late Wednesday night, heading into Thursday. But Brayden and I are here to break down this matchup between the Missouri Tigers and the Central Arkansas Bears. And actually, Brayden, I was listening to another show earlier, and they were talking about the fact that they're called the Bears, Central Arkansas. But all their women's teams are named the Sugar Bears. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, all the women's sports teams are the Sugar Bears, but the men's are just the Bears. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, fun little fact there. So anyway, Brayden, week one versus a cupcake opponent, let's be real, to kick things off. We could sit here, we could go through, hey, this Central Arkansas, they averaged this many rushing yards per game last year. I have no idea what Central Arkansas is going to do in this game. I have an idea, though, what we want to see out of Missouri, and Missouri is favored by 36.5 points in this game. Brayden, what are your initial thoughts on that line for the Tigers in this game? You think they cover, or do you think that's a little strong?
If I remember right, last year, whenever we played Murray State, we were favored by 50.5, and we ended up covering that. I would assume that we cover against Central Arkansas as well. It's not a line that I'm going to be taking either way because it's just too big and just a little silly to bet on something that big. But I would expect us to hang 40 or 50 on them, hopefully not allow any points like we did against Murray State last year. Like you said, I'm not really that knowledgeable on Central Arkansas and how good they're going to be this year at the FCS level. But I remember seeing a clip on Twitter from we were talking about them earlier in the group chat about their interior offensive line being pretty good for the FCS level, but not really too concerned about that for Chris McClellan and the rest of the Missouri Tigers defensive line. Yeah, I mean, I would expect us to cover it, but I'm not going to be shocked if we don't. We're going to win big, and if we don't, there'll be a lot of issues.
Well, the only thing you can learn in this game are bad things. I think, if you go out and look good, you're supposed to look good. And if you don't look good against Central Arkansas, well, then we need to change expectations for the season. But as far as Missouri covering, and I don't want to jump fully into the quarterback debate right now because I want to save that for later in the preview, but I think that does play into this line, the discussion that we're having, because if this wasn't a QB competition, Brayden, QB competition, then I'd be very comfortable if I were a bettor, betting for Missouri to cover. But I think there's a very strong chance that Missouri could go up by like 24 points in the first half, and then Sam Horn comes in the second half and they hand the ball off like 20 times and they kind of shut down the playbook, and they don't want to show anything for week two either, I think is the other thing that we have to consider in all of this. Starting from the top, though, how do you want to do this? We could go through all the position groups and talk about what we want to see out of them. Because again, I'm not going to sit here and do the whole here's the stats breaking down Central Arkansas. It's a new season. I know nothing about Central Arkansas. Missouri should win this game by a lot of points. But I guess I'll just ask you, what are you wanting to see out of this team in week one? What are some of the questions you have, maybe, Brayden, about this team that you would like to, get some confidence in after this first game?
I'd like to see the defense not allow any points like it did last year for the first two games. The defense looked really strong at the beginning of last year, and I'd like us to be able to continue to do that and have that impressive start that Corey Batoon's squad had last year, especially with the new transfers. I think the big thing, like you said, the only thing that we can really learn in this game is bad things, but Just making sure that everybody comes out of it healthy and ready for the Kansas game, because I remember last year in the Buffalo game, Brett Norfleet hurt his shoulder trying to hurdle a guy and was not the same for the rest of the season. That kind of ruined his sophomore year. So I just want to make sure that everybody gets out of it healthy. I want to make sure that we're up big enough that by the time in the second half when Sam Horn comes in for the competition, we're anybody that's playing that possibly gets hurt is a backup. I think that's the thing. In terms of like what I'm going to kind of be looking for to take positives away is maybe the offensive line play. Again, don't know anything about Central Arkansas or their pass rush or anything, but I don't want to see any sacks whatsoever. And if we do see sacks, I'd much rather it be the quarterback's fault than the offensive line's fault, because offensive line is the biggest question mark for this Mizzou squad going into this year that I'm the most concerned about.
Sure, yeah, I think that's a good place to start, because we talked about the Caden Green move to left tackle, but that was before it was like, okay, this is actually what they're doing. And there was another development we had since then, because I think at one point in camp, we thought that it would be Caden Green left guard, Connor Tollison center, and then Gadice, at right guard. Instead, it's Caden Green at left tackle, Dominic Gadice at left guard, Connor Tollison at center, and then Curtis Piegler at right guard, and then Keegan Charles has had the right tackle spot locked down since spring ball, essentially. And Caden Green, obviously, he's the one that pops off the screen like, okay, he's playing left tackle now, but Curtis Piegler made his way into the lineup, and Drinkwitz had a quote about we shouldn't read too much into Caden Green being moved to left tackle, and that this was more about Curtis Piegler's ascent at the guard position and wanting to get him in the lineup somehow and play your best five. And while I still think you don't make this move unless you are questioning left tackle, I do think it's a very encouraging sign that Drinkwitz thinks that this is his most talented five. And like you said, I want to see them give up 0 sacks in this game. And I want to see them be dominant in the run game too, because that's something I'm going to be watching. Like, I feel like we've just kind of been used to Drinkwitz having a great running game, and for good reason. But, a lot of that over the past couple seasons was because you had Armand Membo at right tackle the last couple of years just road grading. And I don't think it's quite going to be that same level, but I think you're more talented at running back than maybe you've ever been. So that's going to be definitely something I'm watching in this game.
For sure. I think that Hardy is the most talented running back that Drinkwitz has ever had, coming into his sophomore season after a really good year at ULM last year. I mean, ULM is a historically, over the last couple years, terrible football team. And Ahmad Hardy got there last year and basically willed that team to 6 wins. Ahmad Hardy was that offense. He was that team as a freshman, and that catapulted him into getting the starting job at Mizzou as a sophomore. And we're potentially going to be looking at Ahmad Hardy as a Missouri Tiger for the next 3 seasons. And like you said, I think the offensive line talent is significantly worse without Armand Membu there. So seeing what we do in the run game, Jamal Roberts is coming back. Was pretty decent last year.
He's pretty much your third down back. I think that's
he came in last year and was pretty solid. Didn't have any complaints about him last year. And then we have Marquise Davis, who's a freshman, and then Tavares Jones, who I honestly don't think I've heard the name of.
He's been here for years, but he's just never played.
Yeah, he just doesn't play. The name sounds familiar, but I just know he's never seen the field. But in regards to the offensive line and moving Caden Green to left tackle, I still think, like everything that you said, if Drink is actually telling the truth, which we've come to realize he doesn't do, I'm not really one to believe him saying, oh, we just want to get our best 5 on the field. I think it's definitely more of shit. We don't like what we have at left tackle. Let's just move Green over there. And then
I think, well, sorry to cut you off, but I think it's possible that it could be both. I mean, really, it could be.
Could be.
We don't really have a plan at left tackle, but we'd love to get this guy in there. So this is like the perfect excuse to do it. And Drake maybe stumbled into having his best 5 offensive linemen. So it could very well be both.
It very well could be, but again, with Drink knowing the QB battle, which is exactly what we predicted, it was just a way to hide our starter.
Say.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's talk about it. Let's just do it. I mean, it's like the elephant in the room, basically. Okay, so I mean, everyone knows by now, the quarterback battle has been brought into week 1 by Drinkwitz. He said both quarterbacks will play, but then Pete Thamel came out with his report earlier today. Pete Thamel, I mean, his source literally is Drinkwitz, if you guys haven't realized that by now. Yeah. He said Bo Preview will get the first half, Sam Horn will get the second half. And I said this in the last video we did, I believe, Brayden, regarding the quarterback battle. But my take has been whoever takes the first snap is your starting quarterback. It has to be. And the fact that Bo Preview is getting the first half, and I know Drinkwitz came out and said, someone has to start the first half. I call BS. Bo Preview is your starter. I would not be shocked at all if Sam Horn, when he came in the second half, the game was already over. It's mop-up duty, just like in 2023 with that quarterback battle against South Dakota. And, I mean,
That's exactly what I said.
I'm not mad at Drink for it or anything at all. Like, it's just – I get what he's doing, but it's almost like we've seen this movie before, and you're not fooling anyone with it at the same time. Bo Preview is your starter. He's doing Sam Horn a favor because he's been in this program for a long time, and he's a good kid, and he loves Mizzou, and I'm fine with that. And, look, I would like to see him – and I'll say this about Sam Horn. I hope they keep the playbook open for him. I want to see what he can do. He's been here for like 4 years, and we've never seen what he can truly do, slinging it back there. So I do want to see him, but Bo Preview is your starter, and it was the most predictable thing ever.
For sure. I mean, you say that Drink's not going to fool anybody with this decision, but he clearly did because people were buying into the Sam
Mizzou fans
starting quarterback.
Like, I don't think Lance Leipold ever thought Sam Horn was going to be the starter.
Oh, probably not. But I mean, Mizzou fans were eating it up like, oh, Sam Horn might actually be our starting quarterback. Like, we actually have a battle. Like DeArmond was going on about this is actually a quarterback battle. It was the same song and dance in 2023. And if you have eyeballs, you could see right through it. It was transparent as I don't know. It's just transparent.
A window.
Yeah, it's a window. Like, you can see right through it. It's pretty obvious that Bo is always going to be the starting quarterback. It's the exact same situation as the South Dakota game a few years ago whenever it was Cook versus Horn. So I'm not surprised. It's what I expected back in January whenever we got Bo Preview. It's what I expected out of spring ball. It's what I expected once fall camp started. Like,
I had people pushing back on me when I said this, but I just felt like if you paid attention to the entire saga bringing in a transfer quarterback, it was obvious Bo was going to start because they went into the portal trying to get a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
They brought Bo in. They bought him too. But they brought him in to be the starting quarterback. He had options to start elsewhere, guys. Like, if he wasn't going to be the starting quarterback here, he would be at Iowa right now.
For sure. And didn't he have a visit to Ole Miss too?
I don't think he actually visited Ole Miss, but I think
there Indiana was the one that he was supposed to go to visit, but he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I mean, it was pretty obvious. Now, that said, with him being your starter, I want to see him run the ball in this game, man. Like, not too much because it's Central Arkansas and you don't need him just like taking unnecessary hits. But I want to see the running ability just a little bit, just be like, man, this is going to be fun.
I want to see a little bit of the RPO game for sure.
That, and then, I mean, I want to see everything. I'm ready. I'm so excited to watch Bo Preview play for the Missouri Tigers. And I want to see what his arm can do for sure. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons at his disposal, and a lot of people are expecting big things out of this wide receiver room that I think does have a strong chance to be overall better than what they had last year. You don't look at the names that they have and think that they were better than Theo Weiss and Luther Burden last year, but Kevin Coleman's an all-SEC wide receiver. He had almost 1,000 yards last year. Me and you are as high on Marquise Johnson as anyone, and I want to see him finally break out. He really should have broken out last year, but I think he was held back by quarterback play. But that's a story for another day. And then Joshua Manning, like, there's a lot of people within the program that think he's an NFL caliber wide receiver, and it's been a lot of hype now for a couple years with Joshua Manning, but not a ton of stats yet. But if it's ever going to be the year, it has to be this year. But there's a lot of time.
I mean, I thought that Joshua Manning was pretty recognizable in a lot of games last year. Like he got a lot of snaps late in the year.
I don't want to make it seem like he's done nothing or that he's a bum, but I mean, I'm ready to see him like put up some big numbers.
Yeah, like he only had 13 catches for 192 yards last year, but just in my head, it feels like he was involved a lot more in the Missouri Tigers offense. So I think he was returning a few punts and kicks too. But I'm really excited for him. And if Bo Pribula is able to throw the deep ball, then Marquise Johnson is undoubtedly going to have a big year because he can run by literally everybody. And if he has a quarterback that can actually get him the ball, we're going to be cooking on deep balls. And that'll be something that we weren't able to do at all last year.
Yeah, I mean,
and like you said with Coleman, like all SEC, I don't think that he's as good as Luther Burden, but he can still be a solid number one wide receiver in the SEC that is going to control defenses and get the attention of cornerbacks, which opens up the rest of the offense for other guys like Ahmad Hardy, like Brett Norfleet, who I think is going to have a massive bounce back year after his kind of down year from his freshman year last year.
Well, on the note of like the deep ball, there's been already this notion that's developed that Bo Pribula, doesn't really have an arm or can't throw the deep ball. And I'm not even sitting here saying that he's this great deep ball thrower. We don't know, actually. But I think he's going to be a much better thrower than people have given him credit for. And while you're not trying to reveal too much before week 2 against Kansas, I think you need to put a couple of those deep balls on tape so that Kansas goes, okay, like this guy can throw, like this is something we have to game plan for. Because as you said, being able to throw the ball deep opens up pretty much everything else in your offense. So I want to see Mizzou threaten with that. And I know Drinkwitz and Kirby Moore, since they've been together, they've kind of kept the playbook vanilla for these, early season games. And I totally understand. But I do think because, you have this unknown at quarterback, you want to be able to show that he can do it. And not only for game planning reasons for week 2, but also because, you want him to build a rapport with the wide receivers that he has and get in a rhythm with the deep ball and just, get in a rhythm. Really. That's what you want with your, you have new players all over the field.
Yeah. I definitely do wish that we had 2 tune-up games before the Kansas game, like we did with K-State a few years ago. And like we did going into, we didn't really have that big of a game at the beginning of the year, non-conference game last year. Boston College, I guess, but we were favored by 13.5 or something in that game. Anyways, I wish that we had one more game before Kansas where we could get a full game of the starting quarterback. And because Drink's so set on playing Horn in the second half to kind of throw off Leipold and throw off Kansas and their entire plan. I'm nervous for the Kansas game, but I also that's where everybody's head is at right now, and that's where it's going to be at until September 6th.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think this game, you're just going to be watching okay, this will work, or that looked really good, or this isn't going to work against Kansas. That's what this week is mainly going to be about. And I think
every play is going to be watched tomorrow with Kansas in the back of our heads.
For sure. Whether Missouri fans want to admit it or not, but that's why you consider this game a tune-up game. And that's also why I kind of wish Drinkwitz didn't drag the quarterback battle into week 1. I know he's trying to be secretive about the whole thing for competitive reasons, but I also think you just need to, at some point, be like, this is our guy. We're rolling with him. Hey, team, this is our starting quarterback. Rally around him. And again, build that rapport, build your momentum. Because Drinkwitz did say something about how the quarterback battle could go into week 2. And I also think he's just saying that again for competitive reasons. But it's I want you to have your quarterback rolling into Kansas being like, this is our guy, and this is what we're rolling with. Like, I just think you need team buy-in, because right now the whole team's probably going, who's our starter? Now, I think we're a little bit smarter than the team. Like, I think Drinkwitz is like in there, like going full propaganda mode, like, hey, these are guys. Sam Horn has a great shot. Bo Preview has a great shot. You play just as good for both quarterbacks, but like, I think you need to establish who your starter is before.
Yeah.
But that's just my take. That's my opinion.
And I think that Bo's going to pretty easily do that on the field. And then the first thing that Drink says whenever he gets up to the podium is going to be Bo Preview will be our starting quarterback week 2. That'll be the first thing that he says after the game. Guarantee it.
Yeah, he'll say we have to look at the tape.
I don't know. I don't think that he'll do that. I think that he'll just come out and straight up say Bo Preview will be our starting quarterback, because I'm pretty sure he did that with Cook immediately after week 1.
Well, yeah, he did say we have to look at the tape also, but he was like, this is our quarterback. He said both. Yeah. But I think there's a chance that he also says we'll have to look at the tape, see who played better. And it's funny because I think he'll say that, like, even if Bo throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns and Sam Horn has like 2 picks and the sub 60% completion percentage, he'll be like, we have to look at the tape. But no, I mean, I'm just excited to see our offense. There's a lot of new pieces, but there's also a lot of new pieces, Brayden, for this Missouri Tigers defense. And I think we all expect that to be the dominant side of the ball again for Mizzou this year. And it's just because of the sheer amount of talent. And like, I don't think you'll learn too much about the corners in this game or the safeties or even really the linebackers. Like, I think they're going to out-athlete Central Arkansas in that aspect. But if you're not getting pressure on Central Arkansas, then I think you can learn something. Well, you can learn something if Central Arkansas is hurting your defense in any way. But I'm just really – I'm stoked to watch this pass rush. Damon Wilson, Darius Smith, Chris McClellan, Nate Johnson. Like, I'm ready to see these guys get at. Yeah, Zion Young. I'm ready to see them get after it, because I think they're just going to be suffocating. But also versus the run too, because Central Arkansas supposedly is a running team. That is one thing I guess I know about them, is they do like to run the ball and they rely on their blockers up front to create offense. But I think, that stuff's getting shut down when you're talking about SEC defensive linemen like Chris McClellan, like Marquise Gratial and Damon Wilson, all those guys. And I think they're also going to be out to prove that this is still a dominant run defense, because they lost some pieces that were a big part of the run defense last year on the defensive line. But I think there's still, I think Drinkwitz really harps on that too, is run defense, stopping the run. But also, I think the linebackers will have their back too, because, I mean, you could argue that the linebacker position is the most stacked position group on this roster. Khalil Jacobs, they've been talking him up all summer, and I think a lot of people forgot about him. Mm-hmm. And you have Nick Rodriguez and Tristan Newsom, who, didn't he lead this team in tackles last year? I mean, he's obviously a vested veteran at this point. So I don't know. Like, I'm just throwing out names, people I'm excited for. But I mean, how can you not when you look at this roster on defense?
There was a lot in the Murray State game last year where I said to my dad, I'm like, that's not going to work against a legitimate opponent. Like, there were multiple times with the secondary where guys got beat and then the quarterback just made a terrible throw, and I'm like, that's a ball that's going to be completed whenever we play South Carolina or whenever we play Texas A&M or whenever we play Oklahoma. Those were all, like, we had a lot of those in the first 2 games of the year, and then our secondary did get beat once we got into SEC play, and it wasn't that great. But Jalen Catalone, I've said his name multiple times over the course of the offseason. I'm ecstatic for him to see what he can do. He had 5 picks at UNLV last year, can just be a ball hawk. Marvin Burks, I think, with the depth that we have now and with him having another year under his belt, I think he's going to get better. He was pretty good as a freshman, took a little bit of a step back last year as a sophomore. I think he's poised for a pretty good junior year with the amount of talent that we have with Greco and Banner as well. as safeties behind the two of them. You have Carnell on the outside for what feels like, or in the nickel for like the 5th year in a row. It feels like he's been on this team forever. And then you have the cornerbacks that you had at the end of last year with Drayden Norwood and Toriano Pride.
Plus Stephen Hall, the Wazoo transfer, who I think is, a safe addition, solid player. He's going to play a lot on the boundary.
Nick Deloach too.
Yep.
Like we have guys that we're familiar with who may have not been the greatest last year, but I also think can take a step up this year. And we have more depth than we did last year. Like,
oh yeah,
we could only go to these guys last year, which is what I think was our main issue. But now we have more depth,
especially in the secondary.
Yeah, like Catalan, Banner, Caleb Flagg got a little bit of playing time at the end of last year. He wasn't too bad.
No, and he came here as a walk-on along with his brother, and it's like, but the coaches love him. He played quite a bit last year. Like he's a playable SEC defender.
Yeah, for sure.
And he doesn't even really get mentioned that much, but he makes a lot of plays. And when I talk about linebackers
last year,
and when I talk about linebackers, I completely forgot to mention like Josiah Trotter, and like it's just crazy. Like you have all Americans like littered all over this defense, and it's just it's exciting. It's going to be fun.
The fact that Trotter and Newsome are linebackers 1 and 2 with Khalil Jacobs right behind them, and he could easily take over Newsome if Newsome doesn't play as well as he has his last few years at Mizzou. But I think like what you mentioned at the start of your entire spiel on the defense is the defensive line is so incredibly deep at the edges with Zion Young, with Damon Wilson, and Darius Smith. Like those three, having Darius Smith healthy this year after tearing his ACL in spring ball last year is going to be massive for us. And getting those two former Georgia edge rushers who were some of the top-rated transfer recruits in the portal the last 2 years is going to be huge for the Missouri Tigers defense. Zion Young, I think, is going to take yet another step forward. Chris McClellan was an absolute dog last year, and I would expect the same this year. Marquise Gracial and Sterling Webb both didn't really get too much playing time last year, so I'm a little concerned about the nose tackle position, but Webb was pretty good for us back in 2023. He got a little bit of playing time. I think he had like 4 sacks.
Webb was only on the team last year. He came in. You might be thinking of Gracial because he did play a little bit, but Webb transferred in and
Webb was the guy from New Mexico State.
Yeah.
Okay. He was good at New Mexico State and then didn't play that much last year, but Gracial got a little bit of playing time. So I'm
but they also brought in Braylon Henderson from was it Miami, Ohio? Or I think so. But they really like him and they think that he can play a sizable role on the defensive line as well. And so I expect he'll be in the rotation. So you have solid depth. I don't think I think I said this at the beginning of spring ball. Like, I think they could have added another guy there, but like, you're also not like panicking or anything or being like, oh man, like defensive tackle. Like, they have some beef up there still.
Yeah, like there are significantly bigger issues than nose tackle and defensive tackle in general because Chris McClellan is a monster. Like there are a lot bigger issues on this defense, and I think the defensive line is going to be one of the strengths of the defense. But just the depth at nose tackle specifically worries me just a little bit. Like if there's one gripe, is one gripe that I have on this defense, it is our nose tackle depth. And if that's my one issue, then I think we'll be just all right.
Yeah, and talking about this pass rush, I think Drinkwitz has slowly increase the talent level, the athleticism level of this team over the years since he's been here. But this year, I think it took another big step forward as far as like overall talent and athleticism. And I think like Damon Wilson and Darius Smith, those are two guys that, they have some of that quick twitch ability and just like superior athleticism that we historically, we haven't really gotten those kinds of players at Mizzou.
No. And I'll say this. I went to the week 1 Kansas game against Fresno State, and Kansas love to hold. They got caught with so many holding penalties that game, and that was against Fresno State. If they don't clean that up, they are going to be screwed against Missouri.
Yeah, because our pass rush, I think, is going to be way too good. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to hold Darius Smith and Damon Wilson. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your QB's getting hit.
I mean, and Jalen Daniels is a decent quarterback. Not going to give him too much credit. He's a decent quarterback. But if the offensive line is getting caught with holding penalties the entire game, and he's not going to be able to escape the Mizzou pass rush like he was able to escape Fresno State's.
Yeah, no, it's because I think Darius Smith is very long.
Yeah,
he's fast, but he's long. But Damon Wilson as well, like he's a really good closer. Like when you looked at his highlights coming over from Georgia, like he can close very fast, and he loves knocking the ball loose. Like I think he had like 3 forced fumbles last year. So that's going to be something that I think. And you know what? Hot take for this game? Not really a hot take, but my kind of like prediction. I think between Darius Smith and Damon Wilson, there's multiple turnovers in this game.
Okay. I mean, I buy that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
another small thing, just since it's the Kansas game is on my mind, and it was just the first drive, but their run defense just got absolutely pummeled on the first drive of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
The rest of the game they were fine, but the first drive
you have to consider that once Kansas went up, like Fresno State had to kind of abandon the run pretty quickly to get back in the game. But no, yeah, I saw that first drive as well, and I thought like Ahmad Hardy could have 200 yards on this team.
Yeah.
Bo as well. I mean, just with the quarterback run. I mean, shoot, the RPO. Like I'm just I'm ready to see it all come to fruition though on the field. Like we've talked all off season. We talked about it in this preview. Like, yeah, Missouri has really good players here. Like we're excited about this. A lot of upside here. I'm just ready to see it hit the field and like see what it looks like.
For sure.
And I think that's probably a good place to end it. But before we kind of close things out, Brayden, what is your actual score prediction for Missouri Tigers versus the Central Arkansas Bears?
45-7. I'll say that Central Arkansas gets a touchdown late.
Okay.
And Bo Pribula throws 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Okay, I like it. I'll say, actually, there's one more question I'm going to ask you. I lied. Do we see Nat Zollers in this game at all?
No.
You don't think he plays? Okay.
No, I think Pribula gets the entire first half. Horn gets the entire second half.
Okay. I was just curious because I know some people were talking about that. I thought it was an interesting question because I don't think there's any other games where he'll play this year if it's not this one. But no. So my prediction, I'm going to say 45-3. I don't think they let Central Arkansas in the end zone, but I don't think they necessarily run up the score either. We'll see some explosive plays. I think we'll see probably one really good drive from Horn in the second half, but I think most of the points will come in the first half.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. Definitely want to hear your guys' predictions down in the comments below. What do you want to see out of Missouri in this game? Definitely let us know. With all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Mizzou fans can find this. And then, Brayden, you know it's coming. But before we sign off, what's hot in Hollywood right now?
I really haven't seen anything over the last few weeks. I've been meaning to go see Relay, which is a Riz Ahmed movie from the director, the guy that made Hell or High Water. I haven't seen it yet, but I plan on seeing it. So if anybody's interested in that, maybe go check out the trailer for it. Let me know because I haven't seen anything since our last video. So I don't really have any recommendations because I haven't seen anything.
Well, I'll help you out because you recommended it in the last video we did, and I went to go see Weapons, the big horror movie in theaters, and I thought it was great. So I'll just double down on that. If you guys haven't seen that, like go check it out because I think that's one of those movies that even if you're not a fan of the horror genre, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are very
a lot more of a thriller.
Yeah, and I think those people will enjoy it. I think you don't need to be a horror fan to go see it. It's just a genuinely entertaining movie.
For sure.
So there you guys have it. That's all we got for this one. We'll see you all in the next one. And as always, MIZ.
ZOU.